Okay, this is a quick video to demonstrate how to answer this question. So the two things we need to look for in a question first are the conceptual focus, which is the main consequence of William's policy of normalisation, and then the given factor is increased control of the church, and that factor is religion. The conceptual focus, main consequence of William's policy of normalisation, basically means what has been the biggest change that William has made in England. So that's the thing that we are trying to explain. So to plan your answer before you write it, we need to think of as many changes that William made as possible. It gives us two, the feudal system and forest laws, and use the knowledge organisers we used in the double lesson to help you find these. So the feudal system and forest laws are some, but we could also talk about changing Stigand's, who was the old archbishop's, corruption. We can talk about archdeacons, the people who were the enforcers in the church, make sure they were following the new rules. You could talk about cathedrals and monasteries. You could talk also about changes to land holdings, the fact that William now owns all of the land in England, and earls are now tenants and chiefs. Night service will be an important one. The 40 days night service, knights gave to the king. You could also compare that with the changing role of thanes. You could talk about peasants. Remember, not really much change for them. Forest laws, and particularly the punishments that they received. And also, I think you could talk about the aristocracy and also things like chivalry and language. Okay. With all of that information, you've then got to think about how you're going to structure it. Remember, the idea is we want to try and do 3 paragraphs. My first paragraph, because it's the given factor, would be on the control over the church. My second paragraph, I think I'd want to do it on the feudal system. And then my third paragraph, I think I'd want to do on the aristocracy and peasants. Okay. So you can figure out from there which bits of evidence would go in each of your 3 paragraphs. In terms of factors, we know this is our religion factor. The feudal system, I really want to talk about power there, how they use the feudal system to take land ownership away from people, so William held all of the power. And then this one I want to talk about society, so that would be my social factor, and about how society changed with people. Now, if I was going to write this answer, I actually disagree with this statement. So I disagree that the main consequence of normalisation was control of the church. I do think there was a lot of change in the church, but I actually agree that the feudal system was the biggest consequence, because I think the amount of power William got was the main thing. I disagree also that the aristocracy and peasants changed the most, but I think that this was less than the church. So in my paragraph, in my first one, I'm going to write about all of the changes that were made with the church, everything that Lanfranc did, but in my analysis, I'm going to actually say I don't think it was the main consequence, but I still think they're important. In my second paragraph, I'm going to say that I think the changes to the feudal system were the main consequence, and actually I think they were more important than the church, and it's really important how I say why. And in my final paragraph, I will say there were lots of changes to society as well, but I actually think those changes were not as important as increased control over the church. Remember, if you're going for a top level, you need to make sure you have a balanced argument, which leads to a judgment. So you must link back to the question and the conceptual focus in every paragraph and have wide-ranging knowledge. If you're looking to secure kind of above a grade 4 or 5, you need to make sure that you write 3 really clear P paragraphs, and at the end you must have a conclusion. Okay, good luck.